Hey everyone, Nealay Patel here, and I have got the incredible Miss Deb Floros with me. She is an prolific jewelry designer, and together we have created the 10 jewelry making mantras to live by. And Deb, why don't you explain to us what these mantras are, and maybe some tips and tricks on what you did to create these mantras, and just how it became a thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Nealay. As always, I enjoy working with you and Silver Silk. It's been a joy, to say the least.
Oh,
um,
yay! Thank you.
yeah. This mantra or these mantras came about because I sat down one day and thought, there are times when you sit at your work table or wherever you are creative and you're either overloaded with things that are in front of you or I don't know, we all are overworked and underpaid. um I threw in that underpaid part. We're
Sure, sure.
overworked, we have a lot going on in our lives, and sometimes you sit down and that creativity just stops. Like you don't have the ability to put something together. You might sit there and touch the beads, which is okay. Sometimes that's good. You want to just, commune with your beads and your materials, but sometimes you really want to make something.
It's
so,
true.
yeah. So I wanted to think about like what thought process do I actually use? And when I started to put these thoughts together, these are really things that I think subconsciously I do. I don't probably think about them like, oh, I should do this, I should do that. But I know in my mind I'm subconsciously kind of pulling these things together. And once I get started, creativity begets more creativity. So so these mantras have helped me along the way, and I hope that it will actually help others to make a connection with their creativity, try new things, get them going again if they've been sort of blocked or stopped, or the jewelry maker's block, equivalent of writer's block for us jewelry makers. So
Absolutely. And I think we just get blinded by all of these beautiful materials and then just realize, like, oh, I'm just a collector. I haven't really processed or created anything at this point. And the idea that hopefully we inspire is, yes, yes, it is good to be a collector. It's even better if you can take those beautiful things and turn them into functional things. And I think the mantras and the, I guess, tips and tricks that you came up with, because really it was about us sitting down and like, let's state a broad idea of A, how we could work together, because it's always fun whenever I can work with my friends. And then
Yes.
B, just once this idea came about of like, what do you do to get inspired, or like what goes on in Deb Floros's head when she's designing? And this is, I think, just a really nice high level concise list of some ways to propel, to catalyst creativity that I think we all kind of knew that these existed, but we just weren't able to really verbalize or write it down, and now exist as a blog post over on the Silver Silk website. So if you go to silversilkonline.com, you can read all about it, read all about the 10 mantras, because we're only on what, number 6 now,
Mhm.
from a video standpoint, but we've got the written content down, and we've been going back and diligently paying attention to what it is that creates a spark for each of these mantras, and then to challenge each other to go out and actually do it and practice this creativity. So, and again, you can find that on silversilkonline.com. You can either search for it, 10 jewelry making mantras to live by, or you could look in the footer of the menu and you'll find the resources there that also point back to this blog post. So I encourage you to go out and check them out if you're looking for something creative, inspirational, or just that little spark that you need to get back into creating with your collection. Because
Yes.
we all have it. We all have it. I promise you. We're gonna do stuff with it now. At least
Yes.
that's the idea for this.
We're going to use our stuff.
We're gonna use our stuff.
That's mantra
So
number 11. Use your stuff.
yeah, that should be mantra number 11. If we're gonna do a bonus, we need to have a let's use some stuff today, like even if it's just a couple things. No, but okay, so what is mantra number 6, Deb?
Mantra number 6 is make a statement.
Ooh.
Now, I like to say that most of my jewelry is statement jewelry. I know that minimalist look is sort of in, but that's really not my gig. It's a departure for me to do the minimalist thing. So statement things are what I'm all about. But I always think to myself, if you make jewelry, don't you want people to know it? Don't you want people to recognize it, see it? You know, you make something, you hop in the car, you go to lunch with a friend, or you go to the grocery store, or you go to a kids function. And isn't it great when somebody says, "Oh my gosh, I love your necklace," or "I love your bracelet. That anklet is spot on, girl." Like you want people to recognize your jewelry. You want to make a statement. So this is what I think we all need to have in our wardrobe. It's a little bit of statement jewelry. Statement necklaces might not be for everybody. Statement bracelets might not be for everybody, but a good pair of statement earrings. Yep. Those are for everybody.
I
In
love
my
that,
book.
and I feel like if they've made a compliment, they've made a statement.
Mhm. Yep. Now maybe the compliment is just, wow, those are some earrings. But that's okay too because they noticed, right? So
They did. Yes, that's true.
your
So, okay,
statement.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, statement can mean a lot of it's kind of a broader topic, right? So, like,
Mhm.
and I think the statement might be more in tune with the person that's going to wear it. So, is there a difference between statement versus like size or the amount of materials and stuff that you use? Like, what can someone do to create a statement without too far of a stretch, I guess, for their own personal style is what I'm
Uh,
curious to hear.
I think we when we talked about this mantra, we felt like it's not just size.
Mhm.
Although I think that's what we equate most of the time to a statement piece. But it could mean that your piece is sparkly or
Ooh.
shiny, or maybe it's super colorful. So I have my little squeeze ball here. Like, look at this color. Like, if you did something in this color, that's a statement. So it can be really anything that sort of makes it stand out. It could be even materials. So again, I have to give a shout to silver silk. I mean, silver silk is not your run of the mill normal material that you work with, although we're getting it out there more mainstream. um,
Mhm.
but it's unique. So if you had multiple strands of silver silk, the texture, the color, just the adding that to something else may actually make a statement that you wouldn't have otherwise made if you didn't use the material.
I think I fully agree with you. Silver silk is pretty awesome.
It
No, but,
is.
I think that's a great way to look at it. It's just that one extra thing that really sets it apart and does become something of a facet or something. Just it makes you feel like you're wanting to say something without having to say anything at all, and just the one little contrast element within your design can really change and elevate that whole wardrobe experience that you have too.
Yeah.
So the statement could just not be something that you wear, but it's something that reflects from inside out.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited about this mantra. So why don't you take us through the earrings that you're wearing?
So I love these, and I do love a good statement earring. I think through the pandemic, if you work sort of in an office setting and you went to a Zoom setting, you couldn't really have people appreciate your statement pieces. Maybe a necklace, but earrings are really the way I felt that you could make a statement. So I love a good statement earring, and I think they've been more important than ever. So this uses amazing silver silk capture chain. And see, I always get that wrong.
You're perfect there.
So it has the gold tone to it. So I used your silver silk end caps, and this is a double end cap to hold both sides of that, just that little simple loop of silver silk. And these little brassy components are pretty popular, but I thought I would use them in a little bit of a different way by combining them with the silver silk. So this center piece is a connector, and then the bottom piece is a lotus flower, which I'm a big lotus flower fan. So I just love that this is sort of a tiered effect piece. So I'm thinking of it, it's really sort of three sections, and they all kind of, it moves like it's articulated.
Ooh.
So it's a simple project, just adding your connector with some jump rings and adding your little charm with jump rings. But look at that, dynamic. So these are big. So you've got that. They're also bright and shiny. And
Hmm.
that sort of articulation, I think, that gives it movement also makes it a bit of a statement. I think when people see earrings move around, that there's something about that too that makes a statement. So if you just had a little stick earring that didn't move, it might be beautiful and might be wonderful, but there's something about movement too that makes your earring sort of a statement. People are going
It
to
does
see it
because
and notice it.
it right, you get that motion to it. The reflecting of the light adds a lot of depth and motion to the design too. But there's a few things that I wanted to note on this design as you're holding it up, maybe one more time toward the camera. And I love and appreciate how you put shapes together. And I don't know if you had thought about it or not, but for me, when I look at this piece, I see three elements of geometry hit up with an organic component at the end. So you get the box that is the end cap, followed by the oval teardrop shape, and then a second teardrop shape that's a little bit bigger. So those are very planar shapes, even though you've broken it up with silver silk and the knitted texture there. But then that organic texture is repeated at the bottom with that lotus shape. And so it really draws the eye down. And this is such a stunning piece. And you get that little pop of blue with that pearlesque chain too. So
Yeah.
to me, it just has everything going for it.
Yeah. I think that's sometimes I when I sit down, I don't know where something is going, but that's kind of the whole mantra concept is I'm going to start pulling things together. And once one thing falls into place, it's almost, destiny that the next one's going to fall in. So if I need three parts for a piece, that third one's going to come along pretty fast after the second one. Get it out of the sun.
Yeah. Well, and you had the components that you already loved, or at least the theme, which is the lotus. So I think that worked out really well.
Yeah, I love that silver silk has the different metal tones, because if you want something gold, you can go gold. If you want something
Mhm.
silver, hematite, you've got so many color tones that once you decide on if you want to go with one solid metal tone, it's very easy to find something to go with it.
Absolutely. So we are challenging all of our silkies or new people who are new to Silver Silk and maybe catching this video for the first time to go out and make a statement with your jewelry piece.
Yep. Yes. Go find
So,
a way to make a statement.
yes, make we want you to find a way to make a statement. Whatever that statement is, we want to be a witness to it. And by tradition, I believe I need to take this challenge as well and see what kind of a statement I can make.
Yes. I can't wait to see what you're going to do.
I have an idea in mind, actually, that hopefully I think you'll like and agree with. So let me flash this this little graphic that shows the statement mantra and try and get all of this fun camera stuff to happen behind the scenes. So here we go. So, okay, I have a bracelet that I made. And this right now, this is already a statement just because it's, I don't know, there's something about the size, even though we talked about maybe size not being the thing. But once I get one bracelet and I'm like, okay, this is off to a good start. It's just not loud enough for me, or at least nothing that will draw too much attention. But then what if I started to stack more on top, right?
Oh.
And then even though I've got the same palette, it starts to get a little more interesting with its depth and colors and stuff. And then maybe I add in a third one,
Oh, yeah.
and then I'm missing a fourth one because more is more, right?
You added
So I
some
wanted to
sparkle with that one too. There was some sparkle in there.
I do, yeah. I needed a little bit of, and these are actually pyrite beads, which I'm obsessed with the
Oh,
faceted ones. So I'm getting like a cluster of different textures here. I've got this organic bone. I've got pyrite in its chunk form, which kind of looks like rock. I've got something a bit more refined with the cut pyrite. And then I just started to put in a little bit of this turquoise color, which is actually glass.
oh,
And
beautiful.
I'm just kind of repeating the wood elements. So I wanted to create a fourth piece. I am getting into stackables. I didn't
Nice.
think I ever would, but it something about it is working, and it's to me making that statement that I want to make with easeability of wear and still be able to have something on my wrist that is extravagant. So I actually wanted to bring out a fourth piece and work with this memory wire some more because it is something that I'm having a lot of fun with. And I've not used it prior to creating this new silver silk chain, which I guess is not really that much newer anymore, but it's still new to a lot of folks, and because they haven't gotten into it. And when you do, though, I'm telling you, this stuff's really addicting. But this is called pipe chain, and it is a rubber silicone tubing that has knitted wire right on top of it that's been stitched onto it, essentially. And you get the rubber color or texture beneath the metallic stitches that the wire is creating. And it is just such a luxe and detailed material, but opens up so much creativity because essentially that tubing, you can pass any sort of beading wire, memory wire, leather cord, craft wire through it. So it's got a lot of features, a lot of ways that you can use it. And in this case, I wanted to create a fourth stackable with it, as I mentioned, with some beads. So I just have a little bit of pipe chain. I'm gonna probably use about 2-inch strips here, so maybe I can go ahead and pre-cut those while we're talking about it.
What color is that
And
one, Nealay?
oh, I didn't even mention this beautiful color. This is hematite.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Hematite, yeah. So I kept the description on this rather simple, but I mean it closely resembles that gemstone, that man-made gemstone, if you will. That I just had to name it that. I just had
Yeah,
to.
that's one of my favorites.
I love it. I love, love, love this color. It's so easy to wear with everything too.
Oh, yeah. That's going to look great with that stack.
I think it will. I'm excited to put on a fourth stack. So whenever you cut pipe chain, there's always going to be a few little wire fragments that kind of pop out at the end. I call these wire fuzzies. Haven't really thought of a better name, but also it's just a name that's stuck. So just go back in with your chain nose pliers and pluck out those little wire fuzzies because they just get in the way of your beautiful creativity, and that's the last thing we need, right? So I'm going to do that to both sides. Actually, all four sides since I've got two cut pieces. And then I mentioned earlier that I've got a single coil of memory wire. This was just acquired from my local craft store, but I'm sure your beading stores or your favorite online beading stores even might have a suggested place to get them. Let's see. It's usually about maybe 3 to 4 little wire fragments per cutting. And it's really great also to know that the wire at least doesn't fray whenever you do cut it. You just get those little scrappy things at the ends, but otherwise, this all stays intact very well. And lastly, I have some buffalo horn beads that
Ooh,
was in my stash, and I kind of want to use them up for this design.
I
I need to, in
love those.
fact,
Those are
give
good
them a
ones.
good cleaning before I use them. They got a little dust on them,
Blow
but
the dust
isn't
off.
that just yeah, exactly. I gotta blow the dust off. But I am just in love with these. These are so, so fun.
They're cool.
Okay, so let's clip off the end here. Now, for memory wire, it's a little bit of a tougher wire than your standard craft wire. So when you do this, I've learned to take a couple of shortcuts to help alleviate some of the stress that happens on my wrist. The first is I want to go ahead and create a little round loop at the end. This is similar to creating a eye pin. The only difference is that instead of where I would normally centralize my loop by reinserting in my chain nose pliers to quote unquote break the neck, I tend to just like leave it round and add a Q shape on one end, a Q or a P, just depending on how you're facing it. And I find that to be good enough because I think that the second action to making that simple loop on memory wire might be a little bit too taxing on the wrist. So I just tend to alleviate and not do that at all. Do you have any tips or tricks for memory wire, Deb, that I might have missed or didn't think
Um,
about?
I do like to put my loop on one end, so that, especially if you're making a bracelet that's just one coil, that you don't string
Hmm.
stuff on and it flies off the other end as you're working on it. I do that too. And I really like to use a like a mandrel type pliers that is just one
Ooh.
size, so that I can
Uh-huh.
get consistent loops on both ends, because I'm terrible at
It's a
getting
good
my
idea.
loops the same size when I use, a graduated pliers. But you're really
Yeah.
good at the loops, so you probably can do that pretty easily. But folks that aren't as good might want something that will give them consistent loops on both ends.
I think that's a really good piece of advice, but even with working with memory wire, I would say for me, those mandrel pliers would probably be super helpful.
Yeah.
Because I can have that luxury to not do it as perfect, but even with those pliers, it would end up being perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, those beads are divine.
I just think these are so, so cool. So the label said water buffalo horn unfinished, and I'm wondering what the unfinished means.
I don't know.
I have no idea either. So I'll have to ask around and see what answers come up because I feel like I should know more about beads, but really I don't. And then I get mesmerized by people that tell me about them.
I did purchase some buffalo beads in Tucson this year, but they look very different than that. So
Really?
maybe mine are finished.
That
I
could be
have
the
to,
difference.
I'll have to see if there's anything on my strand to tell me that. I'll let you know.
That is, yeah, I wonder that too now. I have no idea.
I'm curious.
So I just made another loop at the end there and pretty much should call it good. That's my
Yeah.
final thought. So I think the more bracelets I make, the bigger the statement that I can make. And
Yes.
really just attract some attention down to the wrist.
The
With all these kind
statement that someone will, well, the compliment that someone will give you will be, look at that bracelet stack. That's awesome.
I know. They might not even know it's a stack by the time all these like flip around and stuff. It'll kind of just look like a wrap of some sort.
Yeah, that's true too. It could look like a wrap. And you could do one continuous memory
Ooh,
wire. So I've done memory wire bracelets with like 6 or 8 coils, and it's just a big, massive bracelet. So you could do that same thing with
so
one continuous
true.
piece too.
I might look into it because all of my pieces are essentially cut. So maybe instead of adding on the stacks, which would be, but then I kind of miss the opportunity of like, oh, maybe I just want to wear these two. But
Yeah.
I could really just be bold and daring and just wear all of them. But also, I have a ton of beads left over, so why not use them instead of
Some days you
just
want to
collecting?
make a big statement, some days a
Hmm.
lowercase statement.
It's
Just
true. We'll just take it on a case by case basis of what kind of a statement we want to
yes,
make.
exactly. That's the beauty of taking the challenge the way you did, is you can now make as much of a statement or as little of a statement as you want. That's fabulous. Joan Dice is going to go nuts with that.
I have all the statements I can make with this one. So,
I love it.
um, well, we are encouraging you guys out there to create your statement piece and do share it with us in the Silkies Facebook group with the hashtag. What were we calling it?
Silver Silk Mantra.
The Silver Silk Mantras, of course. My goodness, it's been a little bit of a time, so we're bridging that gap now. But Silver Silk Mantras, and let us see what you're creating and what kind of a statement you can make. And hopefully, these challenges are here to inspire, to create, to leave some open room for you to create and just become involved in our brand and the fun that we have with it. So, Deb, do you have any final advice or words that you can give into our audience out here?
I think I'll say it in a way that I think I've woven into every one of these is, don't be afraid to do this, guys. Don't be afraid to make a statement. There are people that are a little shy and don't want to call attention to themselves. But boy, guys, if you make something beautiful, go out there and share it and make a statement and take those compliments, because that will actually spark you to go back and sit down at your table and try something else and take the next challenge. I find that when someone says, "Oh my gosh, I love this," or "I love that," it makes me feel good, and I automatically take that energy and transfer it into the next design. So make those statements, take those compliments, and make more stuff and use your stuff.
Listen, these are words of wisdom from the smartest jewelry making lady that I know. So heed the advice, and I think that you guys will make some spectacular designs when you put your mind to it. So I guess we'll just see you at the next mantra. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.